Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Vetting America. We are live in downtown Tampa at the Attic Cafe, 500 East Kennedy Boulevard. I would like to thank our sponsors, Richard McIntyre of McIntyreFirm.com and the amazing producer, Anthony Kovic of the Tampa Post. I would like to thank Bryan Jacobs, CEO and founder of Vets2Success, a veteran nonprofit to give veterans a second chance and a new identity. Thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your time as a Navy corpsman.
Oh my goodness.
Jump right into it.
That's the story. You know, I didn't actually know what I was signing up for.
Yeah, right.
It was I joined the Navy, and what sold me on it was a session from hot nurses and young doctors in hospitals. There was nothing about being Fleet Marine Force, or there was a little picture, like a little, I'm gonna say a 3x3 with Marines running out an AAV, and they were running out back this vehicle, and I said, "What's this FMF thing?" And they're like, "It's optional, don't worry about it." And I'm like, "All right, sign me up." But then there was this whole other thing I could have been called a nuke. And but they didn't tell you about a $100,000 reenlistment bonus. They didn't tell you about school being in downtown Charleston, South Carolina. You get E5 out of school. Like, here's a silver platter. Enjoy your life.
No.
But then again, that wasn't my purpose. And you know, I actually joined the military to be a cook, and I didn't even qualify to be a cook because I guess I scored too high on the ASVAB.
Yes. So
we'll see. The rest was history.
So what made you initially decide to join the military?
Well, every male in my family has served.
Okay.
And so it was a call. Actually, I didn't want to join the military at first. I wanted to go to college first and then join the military. And coming from a family of humble beginnings, there really wasn't that choice of, hey, aside from having good grades and playing football, I had broken my leg my senior year of high school, so I had to wait a year. I would be working weird jobs, barely making it. You know, mom and dad were like, "Go," you know, and I was just like, "Whoops, I guess I got to make a decision." But at the end of it all, my grandfather, he was a World War II vet. And he was a cook, and he basically inspired a lot of my life, as well as my father. And it was just something that when I realized it was my purpose to join, it was easy.
Yes.
But it was the anticipation of not knowing what was to come. And
it's like about when you're about to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Or a helicopter for no reason.
And you're going up. The ascent is the scariest part, but once you start going on the ride, it's
completely different.
It's completely serene almost.
Yeah. Well, life changes, you know. I mean, you realize once you have purpose and you're around people who you trust. I mean, when you go into the military, you trust no one because you know no one. And when you get there and you're around all these guys and you're like, "Oh, okay, we're all here to, all right, well, this is working out better than I thought. And I get paid to do this. All right.
Not that bad.
I'm digging it."
I think that's the best part of the military is people ask all the time, "I don't know if I could do that." I mean, you suffer with everyone else, and I've learned that if you go through terrible things with other people, it brings you really close to those people.
And that is not that terrible.
It's not that terrible,
right? I mean, especially when I was overseas. I mean, completely different world. I mean, being a Navy corpsman overseas, I mean, your job is a battlefield paramedic. And I was with a frontline unit, 2nd Ladder Combat Battalion, and you could not have prepared. No man or boy was prepared at 20, 21 years old to do what we were doing.
Of course.
No amount of training, no amount of workups. I mean, I won't lie to you. I mean, training really takes place when you're not thinking, and I really understand why the repetition goes into it and why we do the things we do all the time.
Act without thought.
Yeah, because you can clean your rifle without thinking, especially if it jams up, and it's just not like you don't panic, you just act.
Yes.
And that was the craziest thing I experienced was seeing my body take over in a situation where I didn't think I had control.
So how does that change your mentality in life when you are finally in a situation to where you've prepared, and then all of a sudden it's time to put it into practice? You're completely not in control, but yet somehow you're still in control. How did that change your ability and your thought process moving forward in your life?
Well, you know, the military did two things, and I actually came to kind of a realization it was like 2 weeks ago, where I realized what the military did, it actually set me up for failure. And people are kind of looking at me, "What are you talking about?" Well, everything I did in the military didn't allow me to fail. So I wasn't learning anything. Everything I achieved was achievable. Everything I conquered was conquerable because I had all these people to my left, right, front, back making it happen. And I really realized that I didn't start really learning about life until I got out of the military. And I had not really had a situation of hard knocks or, humble beginnings is one thing, but you have mom and dad. You have a roof over your head, 3 meals a day, laundry's being done. Like, you go to work and come home, may contribute, may not. But that's not the rough life. That rough life is when you're out on your own and, you don't hear these sob stories of college kids until you're out amongst college kids or you're amongst people who have 2 and 3 jobs trying to survive. And so I realized that the military, it gave me a set of core values, morals, beliefs, and processes, but it made me feel like I was invincible.
Yes.
And when it did that, it really set me up for failure.
Yes.
Because when you get out, the world is very tough. It does not play fair, at least not by your standards, and
not by the UCMJ either.
Yeah, no, there's no articles of there's nothing. Yeah. And there's I look back on all the amazing things that happened in the military, but I realized that the military actually stopped me from growing up.
Emotionally.
Yeah, emotionally, and I was not prepared for the world. Oof. And I thought war was hard, but coming back into the civilian world was harder. That's
a perfect segue, because the next question I was going to ask is, what was your transition like?
Wow.
We've talked about it a few times, and I told you the struggles I've gone through. Part of me feels, maybe not today, but in the past felt guilty that I even had those times of depression and anxiety.
Right.
But as I've explored myself and I've explored the world over the last 4 years since I've been out, I've realized that this is a natural human emotion.
Huge.
And that, again, the military set me up for failure by making me believe I was weak for being depressed or weak for having anxiety.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your transition and what you learned.
Wow. It was crazy because being a Navy corpsman, we have different standards, and I believe in the few and the proud. But I believe, even that even applies deeper to Navy corpsmen, because I couldn't call out. I couldn't be in SIQ. I had to shoot better. I had to run faster, because I had to earn my equal Negro on another level. It wasn't something that was just, hey, you show up to a Marine Corps unit and you get this.
No, it's not with Marines.
No, it's not with Marines. And it was like, I didn't earn it until after we had gone through combat, the first phase, and someone gave me my EGA and said, Doc, you've earned this. And that was the first time I had felt a part of something bigger than myself, and I had that purpose, and I was serving.
Right in the feels.
And so when I got out, I was looking to still have that purpose of serving. I was looking to have a job that meant that much to me. I was looking to have a calling. And when I got out, it was just like, here's this shiny world, and I didn't have any glasses on because I couldn't see all the bullshit.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yep. Until you hit that first pothole, and you're like, well, this is not doing
it's just
so
like the other
good.
side.
Yep.
Exactly.
And you don't realize what you're going through until you've started to see a downward spiral, and that's really what happens. I mean, I did everything from selling insurance to drawing blood to selling air conditioners to mowing lawns I did so many things. And I didn't have the greatest in transition. My mind was also lost because PTSD or PTS, however you want to call it, wasn't really highly looked on, especially from a perspective of, as you say, being weak. You were not accepted in a unit of, if you were PTS or PTSD, then you went to get a med evaluation, you got a psych eval, and then you were, and you're done.
Yep.
And
on your own.
On your own. And thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Deuces.
Here's your DD-214. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, and 7 days as taps. I mean, and I went to Iraq a second time in 2005 and ended up, getting back from Iraq November 5th, was out of the Marine Corps by November 12th. I had a 7-day transition. And it was either sign back up and go back to Iraq with another unit or get out.
And you just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, the problem was I was facing and here's where the problem with the Navy Marine Corps is I was still having to be assigned to Navy detailers. And so I'm dealing with a guy in Millington, Tennessee who had never been to combat, had never done nothing.
And so you didn't get to stay with your units.
No. And so I would have transferred out.
Oh my God.
And so I would have had to go learn a completely new
unit, new
everything.
How to talk, how to be, how to act.
Everything. And earn my keep again. I mean, luckily for me, my name was very well known in 2nd Marine Division. And so when I went, if we went to field ops or we went out to CACs or Viper, whatever you want to call it, people knew who I was because of my abilities, what I could do in the field. And I had received a lot of great accolades for, doing things I probably shouldn't have done now that I think back on it. But it
what
was
that's a Marine mentality.
Yeah, it's that, I can do it. Okay.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Be back. I got this one.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. But, so, I mean, the transition was, it's undescribable.
It's undescribable.
It really is. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It's
because you're feeling them for the first time.
Yeah,
we repressed them the whole time.
Right. Well, you're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to be upset. You're just, this is it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Either indifferent or angry.
Exactly. That's it. You're not allowed, and then you drink to get the anger down.
Yep.
And so,
suppresses your everything, your
which
central nervous system.
Exactly, which is really what came into play in my life. Is
yes.
A lot of the great habits I had followed, but a lot of the bad habits followed. And it was just one of these things where I went through this process of having to learn about who I was, and it's something every military member is going to feel, every spouse is going to feel, yes. And it's going to be a ride.
Because you were rank Jacobs.
Yeah, I was HM3 FMF Jacobs. I had a title. I was proud.
You had accolades.
I had
you were
accolades.
Respected, looked up to, revered. And then all of a sudden,
I had
7
Marines.
days. Marines, looking up to you.
Yeah.
And then 7 days after you get back from your deployment,
and
gone.
Nobody gives a damn.
No one cares.
Nope.
They say nice things and they mean well.
Yeah.
But just like as you've lived your life and continued, it's how much energy can you put into somebody else's life? Our whole job in the military is to take care of one another.
Yep.
Your whole job out here is to take care of yourself.
Yep. Big difference.
It's a huge difference, and maybe the civilian world can take a few pointers from the military, but at the same time, we came into this world alone. We're going out alone. You need to be able to enjoy this journey without needing so many other people around you to make sure you're on your game, doing what you need to do.
Well, that's about exploring yourself and learning about yourself, and this is where our civilian counterpart get an upgrade in us, or a step up in us, is that they've had a few hard years. They've had a few issues already. They've gone to college. They've got to see black and white of the world and full of colors, where we've just seen mean green operating machine. This is the way it is. There is no other way. And so, all of a sudden, and we get out, and they're like, no,
that was wrong.
That's wrong. And you're like,
that's not wrong.
What? What?
Did you feel a sense of entitlement at all?
I got over that really quickly when I got fired from a couple jobs.
I can see that.
I was like, but I served this country, and they're like, yeah, good job. Yeah. Good job.
Now here's the door.
Yeah.
We're trying to make money.
Exactly. This is a business, and I'm like, what?
I thought we were saving lives here.
I was like, are we helping each other out?
No, they don't care. No, punch in,
no, punch out. He's like, you didn't sell X, Y, Z, and I'm like, yeah, but I talked to all these people. Yeah, you get no sales. I'm like, well, I mean,
results based.
Yeah, and that's way. And unfortunately, the world is results based.
All productivity.
Yeah, but it's reactive productivity. Yes. It's very reactive. We live in a very reactive society, which is one of the greatest skill sets the Marine Corps gave me, is to be very proactive. And have a mission, have a goal in mind. And not even that, but have an exit strategy before you even start the mission.
And contingency plans.
Yeah, exactly. And so what is step one? What is the rally point? What is this going to happen? What happens if this goes FUBAR? Because Murphy's Law, we know.
It always does for us.
Yes, exactly. If it can and will, it does. Believe me.
I think that's a reason why that was my apprehension towards so much planning, is I planned my whole life and it didn't work out the way I thought it would.
Well,
so then I leaped.
Well, that's a whole nother... Yeah. We can get into that. That's God's plan.
Yeah. Oh, well, very true.
We can get into that another.
So tell us a little bit about Vets2Success. I mean, it seems that you held a bunch of jobs.
Yep.
You even dealt with homelessness at one point, right?
I did.
We could talk about that. But I really want to know what Vets2Success is all about, where you came up with the idea, and what's kind of helped you accomplish all this.
Wow. So Vets2Success. Wow. This is this was something that chose me. It wasn't really something I chose.
Okay.
You don't get very many opportunities in this world to find purpose. We're all looking for it. We're all trying to find something to be passionate about. And that could be basket weaving. It could be tree trimming. It could be whatever, growing flowers. It could be
in-flight rocket repairman.
That could be it too. You never know. It could be jumping tall buildings. I mean, Evel Knievel, whatever you want to do.
Right.
But for some reason, when I got out of the military, there's something I truly loved about life, and that was cooking.
Okay.
I am a chef. I'm a very well-trained chef, but very blessed for my education. Very blessed for my schooling, I'll say that. Education and schooling are very different to me, and I'll have to explain that eventually here in a second. But as things progressed, I went to school for culinary, did very well about it. I understood rank, understood how things travel downhill. I understood attention to detail, teamwork, and I could function in chaos, go figure. And, and so I fit very well into a kitchen scenario, just like every other veteran. Because as you know, it doesn't matter where you work in the Marine Corps or the military in general, it's chaotic.
It's always chaos.
But it's controlled chaos. But that's what makes it functional. It's functional, controlled chaos. And the civilian world is no different in a lot of different jobs, just the chaos is a little louder in some places and it's a lot quieter in others.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so it really depends on what level of chaos you can function in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what makes military so adaptable to all these pieces, because we can function all different levels. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so amazing about us. But anyway, so I fell into this ball of wax that I truly loved and found a passion in, and it was an artistic approach. Okay. I just loved to cook. I loved the process of cooking, what happened and what was happening in the pot, and why the eggs were bouncing around, and how hot was the water, and what if I did this to it, and I was always playing.
A lot of science there, too.
A lot of science, and that's we're talking about. Woof, we'll get to the deeper education in a minute. Woof, what not to do. I burned a lot of things, believe me.
Hey.
And burned them.
Trial and error.
Burned, blew up. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. A lot of failure to make great things happen. So, but no, I fell in love with something, and it fell in love with me back. It gave me a reason to live. It gave me a true identity, because that's what I was really looking for when I got out of the military, was identity. And I got out, and every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw was this guy in this uniform, who I loved being, but when it came back to normal, I only saw the guy standing there, and that guy was, he was out of shape. He wasn't happy. He wasn't clean cut anymore. He wasn't anything he used to be. All these standards he could have still, but he didn't have identity through those. And I remember putting on a uniform again, as a chef uniform, and feeling a sense of, okay, wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
This
familiarity.
Exactly. I have a service. I'm in a new service. Okay. And so as it chose me,
people's souls.
Exactly, souls, minds, their bodies, their thought process. There's so much to food, and that's why I love it. But something happened in my life, is that as I progressed through my career, I found a true purpose through it. And unfortunately, it's come at a high cost.
Okay.
Vets2Success was born. It's been a nonprofit for a year. Prior to that, it was a program for about 3 years. The reason being is in May 2014, Memorial Day weekend that year, my brother took his life. It's veteran suicide.
Sorry to hear that.
It's one of those things that I used to say thank you, but I can no longer say thank you for that, because him taking his life gave my life purpose.
Okay. Because
before that, I didn't know who I was still. I was a cook, wanted to be a chef, but what was I going to do with it? And so Vets2Success was born as a nonprofit out of a program I created called Vet2Chef.
Okay.
And what Vet2Chef is all about giving passion and purpose to veterans through cooking. Okay. Just as cooking chose me, I believe it has a medium in all our lives. We love to eat and drink, right? Mm-hmm. Marines do two things good: we eat a lot and we drink a lot. I'm just saying that part. So, but but we like to break bread, with our brothers. So we like to have a good meal. We like to have camaraderie and stories, and that's all done over food.
Mess nights.
Exactly.
Most honored traditions in the Marine Corps is all about food and drink.
Exactly. All the balls, everything. Always good chow. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing we say: how's the chow?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, the chow, it's because we don't usually ever get any good chow. Yeah. Well, so once in a blue moon.
Yeah. Well, mid-rats are pretty good to get what you want. But so Vets2Success was born out of the fact of all the things that I love, I know how important they were to all my brothers and sisters. And I said, you know, this is something that could impact lives, because what we're not only just teaching you how to cook, we're giving you a sense of identity. We're giving you a sense of purpose again. We're creating a passion that you could always go back to, because the great thing is about this is that you have to use your mind to cook. And so what does it stop you from doing?
Thinking.
Overanalyzing, because all you do is focus on this.
Give you an hour. At least you have an hour of reprieve from your own mental misery you're creating for yourself.
Exactly. It's like a focused meditation.
Yep.
Because you're not focused on all the bad going on, or you're not focused on all the hardship going on.
Your moment.
You have a moment.
And that's my favorite type of meditation, because my overactive mind, I do movement meditation, whether it's martial arts, whether it's stretching.
Tai Chi.
Yes. Yeah. I like to move.
Right.
And then just like I do my best thinking when I'm doing dishes, or I'm in the shower where I'm moving my hands, I feel like my thoughts go from this to concise and one thought at a time, because I'm also having to use my brain to use the rest of my body.
Right.
So
and
wonderful.
Same idea, and that's what we kind of got into, is because you can have a passionate outlet as long as you have a vision. And this is what we also teach, is we teach not part of all my classes, I'll hold up an orange or hold up something very simple, and I'll ask everybody, what do they see? What do you see? And you would say an orange. And I'll ask somebody else, well, what do you see? And they can see that they're not saying the right thing. And it's not the wrong answer. Yeah. It's just not the right thing. It's because I want them to start to use their minds in the ability that they can, because veterans are really resilient, and veterans have the ability to problem solve and to see things past what they are. And this is the purpose of this, is to reactivate that mindset, because it's not an orange, it's a juice, it's a sauce, it's a sorbet,
it's a rind,
for an old fashioned, it's a drink, it's a cocktail, it's a finisher for a dish.
That on the surface it looks simplistic, but in its application it's versatile.
It's versatile.
Just like a veteran.
But exactly, but not only that, but don't see it for what it is, see it for what it would become.
It's great.
And we teach them about their lives in that manner. It's like, quit looking at your life right now for what it is, because it's not where you want it to be. Look at your life where you want it to be, and strive for that goal. Yep. And we teach them with this application called the recipe of life.
Okay.
And what the recipe of life is, it's all about understanding that you are a composed plate.
Yes.
You are a dish of everything you've become.
Totality of experience.
Exactly. And so you've been able to put on your plate all these things. And I asked them, does that plate look like what you want to eat? And they're like, no. I said, well, that's great, because now you have the ability to change. You can foresee something. And I said, what I try to get them to understand is that just like an orange, the orange has got to go through a process. True. How many steps does it take for an orange to get to your plate? And some people say, 3 or 4. No, the tree's got to grow, the tree's got to be watered, it's got to be fed, it's got to have sunlight, it's got to have X amount of days. There's a process in place. Your life is no different in that process. Your life has to go through all these trials and tribulations, hot weather, cold weather, droughts. It has to happen in order for you to get where you're at. Yes. But once you're more mindful of what it is and what you want to put on the plate, then everything else can have a process.
Even the fact that they're understanding that they have a plate to begin with.
Exactly.
Most people, even myself, for a while, didn't even feel like I had a place at the dinner table. And now you're giving these people an opportunity to realize you actually have a full plate always in front of you.
Yep.
It's what you choose to put on that plate is what you're inevitably eating.
Yep.
And you are what you eat.
Well, you're going at the buffet of life, no pun intended, but you are. You're walking up, and people say to me all the time, Brian, you have such a full plate, you're doing so much. And I said, not really. When I go to the buffet of life, I'm only putting on the plate what I want. Sometimes somebody serves me a little piece of what I don't want, but I have to have acceptance in my life and realize that that had to be served in order for me to get where I have to go.
Okay. Is there a reason you changed it from vets to chef to vets to success? Do you have plans to grow this into different trades and different jobs?
Well, right now, Vets to Success represents 3 overall programs. Okay. We have Vet to Chef, we have Vet to Baker, and we have Vet to Brew.
That's right, Vet to Brew.
Vet to Brew.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah,
that one's awesome.
Yeah, Vet to Brew is going to be a really cool piece. We're actually going to brew 2 beers, a cider, and a seltzer, because that's the new fad. People want low carb, low air. They want air in a can. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. We'll figure it out. But no.
I saw Dasani in a can. So if you can sell water in a can, you can sell
seltzer. We'll do
fermented water in a can.
It works.
Yeah.
But so we're going to put together a couple different pieces. We're going to do Brotherhood and Valor. We're going to be our beers.
Ooh, I like
we're going to do Snafu as our cider. And then we're going to do Alphabet as our seltzer.
Okay.
And so reason being, these terms and terminologies are synonymous to all veterans. Brotherhood and Valor means something to us. Snafu means something to us. Alphabet means something to us. And I wanted it to be something cool because I wanted, when a veteran sees it, they're like, Snafu, I know what that means.
And the only one that does.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're going to want to tell everybody.
Yes.
And it's going to create stories.
Yes.
It's going to create something bigger. Now, we have some bigger plans happening. We have a program called Vet2Agro that's coming out as well. It's all about hydroponics.
Okay.
We have a tea program we'd like to kick off eventually, doing specialty teas for a company that we want to launch. Coffee, of course. Everybody's into coffee. We'll see what happens. Coffee is... Lots of people in coffee.
Maybe partner.
Yeah, partner. We're thinking about doing some other partner programs. It's more so
for Black Rifle.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And could be some other programs out there. Hey, Evan, just let me know. All right. So, but no, there's that, and then we have actually a whole restaurant concept we've been finishing. It's actually called the Chow Hall.
That's brilliant.
And so
probably right near McDill.
We're hoping to put it in the St. Pete area, actually, because with Vets2Success, we're moving to the St. Pete, Tampa Bay area right now. We're in Sarasota, Manatee currently. We've done, helped over 40 veterans in that local area, and then we're going to hopefully come up to St. Pete, get in contact with the domicile of the VA. We're working with the Boley Center, Pinez Technical College. It looks like we have a great relationship building there, and get into the VA system and be able to kind of start to move veterans out of domicile. And there's a couple thousand hanging around there.
Tampa's huge. Tampa, St. Pete's a huge area
market. Well, it's not. And what's great about it is that a lot of veterans go, "How can I help? I want to get back." Well, if you don't have a purpose in life or a passion in life, and you're living in a domicile, your whole purpose is to get out of domicile because there's another veteran who's waiting for that bed.
I like that. Okay.
And so that's what we urge. When you want to get back, you want to help. Get out of domicile, better your life, because if you're not together and you're not organized, you can't help anybody.
That's the number one rule. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else truly. If you can't help yourself, then you can't truly help anyone else.
Well, even in airplanes, if it's going down, they say put your mask on first. Exactly. So
tell us some of your success stories of this Vets2Success endeavors. You said you helped over 40 veterans.
Yeah.
Give us one with the Vets2Chef, and give us one with the Vets2Baker.
Well, Vets2Chef, Vets2Chef has been so many. Some of the guys, I could speak of, I can't give names because of confidentiality, but there's been, meeting somebody who was living in a car and saying, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm working 2 jobs. I can't make ends meet, but I love to cook. Okay, well, let's better that relationship for you. Let's show forth because that's the thing, is educating the civilian population about what a veteran is, and that's what Vets2Success has done really well. Is that we have great community partners like the Geckos, Andrea Oyster Bars. There's the EVs. There's just so many. Duval's. There's great companies, Longboat Key Club. I could go on and on with this list of they get it. And they realize that what we're bringing to the table is something bigger. And so we don't, when we start out with our guys coming to the program, we don't pay minimum wage, we pay living wage.
Yes.
That's first and foremost. Because you can't expect the most out of somebody when you're not giving the most to them.
Of course.
And living wage is so important, especially as cost of living is rising.
Every day.
You can't have anything, you got to have a quality of life associated with a work life.
How do you expect them to get out of their own way if all they're focused on is the first step in Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
If they're worried about their survival, how can they transcend and finally build that relationship with themselves if all their focus is in just being able to feed themselves every day?
And you have to understand, we realize that Maslow hierarchy needs is super important. So food, shelter, and clothing. If you don't have those 3 things in your life, you're going to be looking for one of those 3 things constantly. So we partner with great organizations within our community to provide those things because it's super important in partnerships. People don't understand that, and there's the word self-made. I hate the word self-made because nobody in this world is self-made. I don't care who you are. That flag on Mount Suribachi was raised by a platoon, 7 people, 6 people, and one of them was a corpsman, and the rest were Marines. And so we did it together for a purpose.
And after how many fell to get to that point.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of failure in order for that to be raised. But they did it together. And not everybody's going to, be able to raise the flag, but at least be part of the process. Your time will come as long as you stay focused, stay the course on your mission.
Consistency. Persistence, dedication, discipline, and just what I tell people all the time is, find what it is that you truly love but you think you can't do, and go after that. That is where your purpose lies.
Well, just do it. Just do it. And stay focused. I mean, every day somebody calls me and they say, hey, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. And I said, I have a reason. As I tell everybody, I'm never going to get back that veteran I lost, my brother. But I can take the chance and work and save another family's life, not have another family feel like we felt. And this is what we do as a community. And it's not going to be me. It's not going to be anybody. The VA. It's going to be a community effort.
And that's what I love about Tampa St. Pete is just such a strong veteran community to begin with, and then veteran entrepreneurship, which we're going to segue into. I'm very active in veteran entrepreneurship. You were a part of the the Veterans Florida Entrepreneurship Program with me. That's where we met. So what has entrepreneurship brought to your life, and what does being a vetpreneur mean to you?
Well, it's funny is I've realized that in the Marine Corps I was taught to be a warrior. And it was something amazing because I could do it all. I was doing it all. I was a part of the fight. But in order to be an entrepreneur, you can no longer be the warrior. You have to be the king. You have to have a king mindset.
Yes.
And you have to transition your mindset. And that's what it is. To be a vetpreneur, it's about taking care of your own. It's about understanding that vets can lead vets, but we can lead us on such a new road of opportunity. But we have what it takes, the mindset of persistence, passion, esprit de corps. We have honor, courage, commitments. We have ethics. We understand all the base pieces what entrepreneurship needs. But what we need is to have the king-like mentality and think about it. Because what we do great is that we remember being the E1 no one, even when we're an E5 NCO.
Yep.
We get it. And so we understand that we're going to make you pick grass, but we're going to pick grass with you.
Yes.
But we're going to show you how to get it done the right way, and we're going to do it in the most proficient way, but we're going to give you that pat on the back. We're going to give you that feeling of esprit de corps, where you feel like you belong to something.
Absolutely.
And that's what has really transitioned over from the military. Is I remember being this person. I remember when every veteran comes through my door, I remember being them just lost.
Yes, that's how I feel with a lot of people that I run into. I see what they're going through, and especially with that self-pain. And to me, there is no pain like that of self-hate.
No.
And when I find people that have that in their hearts for themselves, I just want to do everything in my passion, in my power to help them. Just give them a tool, or just give them even words of encouragement to make them feel a little better that day, because there's nothing, I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemies.
Well, what's so funny is that, humanity in general, and we have a homeless population here in the St. Pete, Tampa area, it's very large.
It's extensive.
The easiest thing you can do to somebody to make their day better is acknowledge their existence. Every day we drive by somebody, every day we walk by somebody, we don't say hi. We don't say hello. We don't do anything of this nature, let alone, I don't give money, but I give water, I'll give food. But at least if I don't have those things, I go, how are you doing? How was your day?
Sure.
Even though they may have a horrible day, but you don't know, they may be having a great day. Just because they're homeless doesn't mean they're having a bad day. I mean, it sounds, very like an oxymoron here, but being homeless is not necessarily a bad thing to some people. They'd rather live that lifestyle. It's a choice to some. But you have to be accepting of the fact of humanity still sets a precedence for us to acknowledge life.
Very true. And that's one thing Marine Corps really did well, was you don't pass anyone without acknowledging their existence.
Every corporals, lieutenants.
I do that to this day.
Yeah, and I do it because in a weird way, I was that person that one time who was homeless and was lost, and was just I wasn't sitting there, but I was struggling with identity. I was struggling, did I matter? And I was struggling, should I go on?
Yes.
And something woke up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna transition to the last part of the show, my favorite part.
Favorite part.
And this is going to talk about a little bit about mindset, but also I like to ask every one of my guests if you have a sage piece of advice that you can give a transitioning veteran or someone in the military that's about to go through transition. What would it be?
I have something I've learned is if you fail to plan, then you better plan on failing. And so start making plans now. If you're about to get out 6 months from now, you should have a contingency plan for 6 months after you get out. And that better include housing, especially if you're married. Wow. I mean, I couldn't imagine, a lot of veterans are getting out their spouses, and we undermine the spouses where they also need transitional assistance.
They do, and they get none.
None, because they've also been taught to only do a few things. Very few spouses I've seen, men and women, don't have jobs. They don't have to have jobs. Their job is to be a mom or a father in the home. That's an amazing job on its own, but in the real world, that doesn't cut it. Two incomes is 2.5 incomes in some cases is needed to sustain.
Absolutely.
And so, to have a contingency plan, have you and your spouse sit down and talk about what you want to do, and understand that this is going to be it's a team effort. And now your team is no longer the guy left, right, front, back. Your new team member is your spouse.
Yes.
And you need to, if you're going to go do this, you need to do it together. You need to think about, what's the give and take. Because there's going to be a lot of give and take, and there's going to be a lot of hard times. But learn from those hard times.
Absolutely.
But start planning way before you get out. If you're going to get out a year from now, you should have a year out plan.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's because you think I'm going to go live at home, and okay, well, what jobs are back home? What do they pay? What's rent like? What is school cost? What's cost of living? What's a car payment look like now that it affects your whole paycheck versus a part of very little of your paycheck? Your housing is paid for. Your housing is not paid for now. Food, electric, water, these trips to the nail salon. All these things are different now, and that has a huge impact on your life.
Your paycheck isn't guaranteed.
No, and in Florida, right to work state.
Right to work.
Right to work means you have the right to leave. They have the right to fire you. You have the right to go bye-bye. And these things we're not prepared for.
We're not.
Yeah, and it's not planning. So.
And that about wraps it up with another episode of Vetting America. I'd like to thank Bryan Jacobs of Vets2Success. How do we reach you, Bryan?
Well, we are reachable through Facebook, Instagram. We have a Twitter. We like to tweet. I'm a tweeter. And it's Vets2Success, VETS, the number 2, success.org. Bryan at that. Be found. Feel free to reach us out. We're coming to the St. Pete, Tampa area. Could be impacting the local populace here locally. Excited to work with anybody. Open for partnerships. Open for donations. Love donations. But just open to make an impact together, because this is what this is about. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about this community and how we can make a bigger difference together.
So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today and watching another episode of Vetting America. We're live again from the downtown Tampa at the Attic Cafe, 500 East Kennedy Boulevard. I'd like to thank Richard McIntyre of McIntyreFirm.com and the amazing Anthony Kovic, our executive producer. Thank you, guys.